So here's a productivity tactic that 100% of the successful, rich, millionaire, ambitious people that I know do, and 0% of the poor, unambitious, lazy, stupid people that I know don't do. The only exception to this is there's people who do this tactic who are not yet successful, but I actually believe they will be successful in the future. So there's not many things in life that has like a 100% success rate. This is one of those productivity tactics, and when I explain it, you might get slightly disappointed because of how simple it is, but you've got to make sure you do it every single day, every single night, because of just how powerful it is. And it's basically, it is absolutely like a requirement for success. This tactic is what I call planning tomorrow today. This is where you end your day by allocating a solid like 10, 20 minutes to sit through and kind of visualize step by step what you're going to do tomorrow and kind of write it down or have it in some way where you've got it organized and laid out. So you might want to use Google Calendar. You might just want to write step by step, like check boxes on your phone or on a journal. I first discovered this without even anyone telling me, although there's lots of books and whatever about this, where I just went on my iPhone. I went on the Notes app, and you can select like this little option to have like a little checkbox, like a little circle that you can tick off. And I would write down in order each individual task I was going to do. And I promise you this is the truth, because the first task of every single day, or the first two, was wake up. That was like one that I'd check off. And then the next one was always shit, like literally go to the toilet. Then it was check my weight, because I was very much into bodybuilding, and so I would check my weight every single day, and I would take a progress picture that I would upload onto like MyFitnessPal, and that was like a checkbox there. Then it was like meditate 3 minutes, eat breakfast, run to the gym, leg day, extra set for abs or neck or whatever, that was like a checkbox. Speak to 2 people in the gym. So when I would be going through the day with this on my phone, constantly looking back at this list, I'd remind myself like, oh yeah, speak to 2 new people. Like I was going to try and be more social. So I'll try and like fist bump 2 guys, or I'll try and like give someone a compliment. Maybe I'll even try and speak to a girl today when I'm in the gym. This was the start of like my real life. Before this, I was an NPC, little bot, little poor, unambitious person. Or ambitious in the sense of being like a dreamer, just kind of fantasizing about becoming like a Chad, like an attractive guy, or fantasizing about becoming like a high status guy, but never actually even having any idea how I would achieve that. This was the first productivity tactic that I did. 5 years later, I'm a millionaire, everyone's retired. I'm sexy, built a nice physique, I'm strong. I achieved basically every goal by the time I was like 25 years old, and now I'm more on like the weird spiritual path because materialism doesn't appeal to me anymore. So it's a very good life to check off more in 5 years than most people ever do in their entire 70, 80 years. And this is how you can get started as well. So every single night, this is what you're going to do from now on. Think about your bedtime. Let's say it's 9 p.m. Let's say 20 minutes before that, set on an alarm on your phone right now, and you can set it for 7 days a week, and just have the label saying plan tomorrow today. So go do that right now so that you've got an alarm there. Then you need to have a place in which you're going to have this plan. So you can have it on your phone in like that checklist thing. You can have it in your phone in more like a written table or something. You can have it on a piece of paper. You can even use Google Calendar, and that's what I use now. Then you're going to start to plot out what's going to happen tomorrow at what time, and you're going to be very specific about this. So you're not going to say like 9 a.m. eat. I want you to, at 9 a.m., write down 6 eggs, 4 this, 1 this. You get my point, right? Don't just say eat. Literally write down what you're going to eat. Don't just say work out. Literally write down legs plus extra 3 sets of abs because I didn't do it yesterday. Write it with the most detail. You know why this is so important? Imagine like you've plotted the whole day like that. So for example, you've said, okay, 5 a.m. wake up, 10 minutes meditation, whatever. 2 hours record X video. So for me, it'll be like, oh, record the productivity video. You've wrote exactly which one you're going to do, right? Imagine how much decision fatigue you're saving tomorrow because you've already made the decisions tonight. Because you know what decision fatigue is, right? Basically, when we make decisions, even though it feels sometimes kind of fast to make a decision, like what do you want to eat, it literally wears on you. Every decision you make makes you stupider for the next decision. And in cases you didn't realize this, becoming successful is literally just about how good of a decision maker you are. Like, that's it. There is literally no other part of success other than just becoming good at decision making, right? And the average person, unfortunately, like the person who lives like a peasant, makes like 1,000 decisions every day. What do I wear? What if that person will judge me because of this clothing? How should I style my hair today? What music should I listen to? What workout should I do? What should I eat? What do I feel like eating? They're making all these decisions moment by moment. The average person says that they're going to study, that they're going to work. So they sit down to work like a fucking maniac. Rich people don't sit down to work. Rich people sit down to do X task. They already know what task they are going to do. They don't think to themselves, oh yeah, I work 9 to 5. No, that's peasant speak. Rich people don't work on like an assorted time block. They've wrote down which task they're going to do at which time. That's the difference between the rich people and the peasants. And I know I sound mean in this video. I'm just telling you the truth, and your emotions can get all offended at it, or you can just become successful and think, okay, fair enough, Hamza was actually right. So this is what we're trying to avoid. We want to avoid you waking up tomorrow and having to go through decision by decision what you should eat, when you should eat, what you should train, when you should train, what you should work on, when you should work on. Because you know those days that you've had which breeze past, and the day wasn't fun because you felt like you were procrastinating something. You know what I mean, right? There's days where you wake up and you have this vague sense of guilt because you said, okay, I've got to study today, got to go to the gym today, whatever it is that you often skip out on, you often like kind of procrastinate on. And there's this sense of guilt all day because you keep pushing that thing later and later, right? So, for example, if you don't like working out, often I hear people say like, oh yeah, I'll go to the gym like after breakfast. Oh yeah, I'll go after 12. Okay, I'll go after dinner. And the whole day is just filled with this misery of like this quite like draining, exhausting feeling because you're constantly making massive decisions of like what to schedule the day. That is not the way to become successful. That's the way that basically keeps you on the same level, because all these decisions are limiting your ability to make some of the better decisions. Like, for example, how to talk on camera. If you, for example, want to be a YouTuber, you've got like 100 subscribers. If you haven't made any decisions that day, you wake up and you press record within like 5 minutes of waking up because you already knew what video you're going to record. You just quickly like brushed your teeth, made your hair, whatever, like had a shower, then you press record. That video you record then is going to be so much better than the video you record after making genuinely like 20, 50, 100 decisions in the day of what to eat, when to eat, what to say, who to text, like all these little decisions, right? They drain what I call your brain points. Brain points is kind of like a mental currency. I just want you to imagine we all start off with like 100 brain points per day, and you have to spend brain points to do things. So for example, to do the task that you want, let's just say we're all YouTubers, to record a video takes 50 brain points. Now, if you started with 100, you can record that 50. But if you start with 100 brain points and you check your phone and you see a message from someone, you've just lost 5 brain points right away. You had to use some of your brain points to see this message and think of a reply. Then if you're deciding what to eat, when to eat, if you're going to the gym first and you're eating like carb heavy meals and you're making all these little decisions, soon enough, you've only got 40 brain points left. And this is when, I bet you'll relate to this, sometimes you feel kind of like mentally or physically incapable of a task, right? A task that you normally can do, sometimes you feel incapable of it, like as if your mental energy is too low for it. You relate to that, right? Sometimes, right? That's when you've spent too many brain points, you've made too many decisions, and you now can't do the big fucking task that was going to move you ahead in life. So becoming successful is all about simplifying your life, having as little decisions as possible. But then the problem is that you still need to make some decisions, right? You still need to decide what to eat. You still need to like decide like, what video to record, whatever. So this productivity tactic that we're talking about today, planning tomorrow today, what it does is basically use the last of our brain points today, like tonight, so that then tomorrow we start fresh. Because, for example, let's say it's 20 minutes before bedtime. We don't need any more brain points, right? If we feel decision fatigue just before bedtime, it's actually fine. If anything, I actually find that you sleep better because of this. And there's good research to show that if you make some decisions and you make a plan, that's actually really good for your sleep, because you've kind of like ended the day kind of, in a peaceful way of like kind of like setting the pieces into place of knowing what's coming tomorrow. There was a study I saw once where two groups of participants, one are told to journal about what happened in the day, and the other are told to journal what they're going to do tomorrow. And the ones who journaled what they're going to do tomorrow slept better than the ones who just journaled about like random shit. So that's what we're basically trying to set up for you is tonight, when you've already ended the day and you're just about to get into bed, spend some time planning tomorrow today. That way that you're getting decision fatigue tonight when it doesn't really matter because you're going to bed anyway. But then tomorrow you can execute on that plan instead of living like a psycho fucking maniac peasant who has to make 100 decisions in the morning, thinking of what to eat, what time to train, all this stuff. You already know what to do. You'll relate to this, like the guys who are already more advanced, who are like nodding their head thinking, yep, I already do this, Hamza, and it's a really powerful tactic. Because once you've done this for a few days or a few weeks in a row, it's kind of like your day is so smooth. You trust me, you don't realize this right now, but trust me, there are pockets of 10, 15, 20 minutes 10 times a day that you're missing out on because of these little decisions. Sometimes you can't lie to this. Sometimes you do sit around for like an extra few minutes to try and decide like what to do next or whatever. I'm telling you, when you do this and you just spend 10, 20 minutes at nighttime, the next day starts to feel like you've got an extra 2 hours because you know what you're doing. You get to like operate. Like imagine going to a gym and you know where all the machines are and you know exactly what exercise and what weight you're going to do. Then imagine you're a guy with no plan who goes to a new gym, who doesn't know where the machines and the structure or the organization of the gym, and he also has to create a routine off the spot. You can imagine that guy kind of like stood up looking around thinking like, okay, what should I start with? Like incline bench, the shoulder kind of hurts and everything, and like his Smith machine's gone, and maybe incline a dumbbell, maybe like, and he's just kind of like wasting little bits here, little bits there, little bits here in the gym, right? And also, here's the thing, he's getting a worse workout compared to the version of you that goes to the gym, knows where the weights are, does the same workout, already knows what he's doing, right? You get more of this like flow, this smooth day, and that's where your day starts to feel more fun, even though you're doing all these like productive habits. So this is your action steps, right? Go on your phone right now and go set an alarm 20 minutes before you usually start getting into bed, and just label the alarm, plan tomorrow today. Then step number 2 is to have a place where you can actually plot all this out. So just go on to Google Calendar. You could do this on other places, but that's the one I use, so you may as well just give that a try because it's a little bit more complex than just having it on paper or on your iPhone notes. But it's nice because you get to kind of time block things. I know that there's some people who get distracted because it's like a software with like colors and it's on the internet and stuff. So if you're at like subhuman levels of focus, maybe stick onto notes or a notepad or something. If, for example, there's a risk of you like being on your web browser on your computer, and then suddenly you're going to go onto a fucking random website or some shit. If you've got no self-control, maybe don't do this on Google Calendar. I'm hoping you're past that point. You've got some fucking control over your actions. But you just go and start plotting out tomorrow. And now you might want to set a routine where you're doing the same things, or a lot of the day is the same. So for example, I wake up at the same time every day. I train at the same time every day. And so I don't really need to make that decision even at nighttime. But there's still some things that I do need to, because it changes. Like, for example, what task I'm going to do. Not just that I'm going to work in that time, but what task inside of the work I'm going to do. This is so powerful because sometimes you'll be sat there for like a few minutes trying to sit around thinking like, yeah, what task should I do? I could do that one, but it's not really needed. What else could I do? You're like sat there for a few minutes thinking about it. That's so valuable. You know why? Because you would have been doing that tomorrow if you didn't do it right now. And if you were doing it tomorrow, it's so easy for you to then just back out and be like, yeah, you know what? I'll just do this work like after I go to the gym or after this episode or whatever. Then I'll figure it out. It's so easy to procrastinate, to skip the good habits when you don't have a clear idea of what it is, when you haven't kind of like visualized and saw out the day. So easy. So this way, you start planning through the specific habits. Remember that, right? So you're not just planning, oh yeah, 9 a.m. breakfast. Write exactly what it is, because you might stop and be like, yeah, exactly what should it be? Let me check my macros, right? So, okay, I need to get 50 grams of protein. I need to get this and this. Okay, so this is what I'll have. And you're like adding it all onto like MyFitnessPal or something and seeing, okay, let me just make the perfect meal. Okay, tomorrow I'm going to have 4 eggs cooked with butter with 1 piece of sourdough bread and a coffee and this other thing or whatever. This way, it's like, bro, it's tomorrow you know exactly what you're having. If, for example, your mum cooks your food, you could even text her tonight or let her know tonight, oh yeah, at 9 a.m. can you start cooking and make me this exact meal? Suddenly it's like, bro, imagine how flawless your day is going to be. You wake up early, you do the meditation, whatever, you do the exact tasks without even needing to think about it. So you've started working literally hours before you normally work, and you've finished the first big task, like let's say recording a YouTube video, before you would usually even like wake up or get started with the day. Then when you walk downstairs, your breakfast is already cooked. It's so efficient and streamlined. Imagine how much pockets of time you're saving just like this. And now here's the final thing I'll say to you, because this is where it gets kind of deep and advanced. And my knowledge isn't 100% in this area, so I might make some mistakes teaching this to you. But there is evidence, and it's been said many times, that some of the greatest geniuses would get their insights when they were sleeping. The way to have a breakthrough in a task or in a skill that you're working on is, first of all, to obsess over the thing. So for example, you want to be a YouTuber, let's say. So you obsess over being a YouTuber, you work on it, you're making a video, you're scripting it, you spend ages making your thumbnail, whatever. Then you set there thinking about the next video, and you just can't really like think of the video that you know is going to like pop off for you and get you a bunch of views and get you to blow up. You get stuck somewhere. All geniuses get stuck somewhere. What the geniuses of like the previous times, like Einstein and Thomas Edison, or maybe he wasn't a genius, but like Nikola Tesla and stuff, is basically there's evidence that they would meditate on a problem, not like normal mindfulness meditation, but basically they would just kind of constantly think about the thing they were trying to solve. Like let's say us trying to get like a banger video idea that's going to get us a ton of views, and they'd get stuck at some point. When they would get stuck, the last thing they would do is think about the problem and then go to sleep. And it's said that when they were sleeping, they would always keep like a notebook. Now we can have our phones close by, because in the middle of the night, they would start to get some ideas about whatever it was that they were stuck on. When you do this planning tomorrow, today productivity tactic, you're basically cueing your brain to be thinking about like some of the most important work that you're doing. Like, for example, what task should I do tomorrow? You're thinking about these things that are important to you right before bedtime. So if you ever find yourself sat up planning tomorrow today and thinking about what video to record, oh, I just don't know, I'm not getting enough views or whatever it is, right? You're thinking about that, or maybe you're struggling with like your dating life, and you keep asking yourself like, why the fuck am I struggling? Like there's guys uglier than me who are getting girls. Why is like no girl speaking to me? What's like missing? What am I missing right now? You're thinking all these kinds of thoughts when you're planning tomorrow today using this productivity tactic. 5-10 minutes later, when you're going to bed, and then you enter like REM sleep or somewhere around there, like an hour or two into the night, you might just get this weird light bulb insight where you kind of know exactly what it is, what you were asking. And that's so powerful, because there's so many nights in the last few years where I would just like groggily unlock my phone and quickly type something down. And it's always like broken English, spelling mistakes and stuff, because you're like halfway through sleep. And I'd wake up the next day, see it, and be like, what the fuck does that say? And then I'd kind of like stop for a second, read it properly, and be like, oh shit, that's a fucking sick idea. I've genuinely had times where like this broken English spelling mistake iPhone note that I wrote at like 1 a.m. has actually made me tens, if not even hundreds of thousands of dollars from some random idea that came to me basically whilst I was sleeping, and I just kind of like commanded myself to wake up and write it down. I'm telling you that this happens more often when you do this planning tomorrow, today kind of productivity tactic. Once you do this and you realize that you're literally twice as productive tomorrow because you've done this tactic of like planning tomorrow tonight, never stop doing it. Never stop. In a few years' time, if you're financially free, like it took me about 4 years to become financially free. If you are financially free, what I'm telling you is there was a time where I stopped doing this kind of productivity tactic because I was like, yeah, like, money is not really something I need to grind for. So I don't really need to be, using a lot of these productivity tactics. What I realized is this is just amazing for your life quality in general, because it's not just for money, but it's also for example, just having a good workout. If you've planned what workout you're going to have, you have a better workout. Now, of course, you might already, have it written out, the flow, whatever. But it's the same thing with many things. Like, for example, if you've got a dentist appointment, you kind of plot it into the Google Calendar or your notes or whatever, and you kind of like, just affirm to yourself, yeah, it's at 3 p.m. So I finish the gym usually about 2. So I might even just go to the dentist directly after the gym. I might just shower in the gym and then just go over there straight after. You get this like seamless kind of plan to your day. Instead of being this like ADHD skits, like spaz who's like going through his day and like he's like, oh fuck all the appointments, oh god, can't believe I forgot about that and stuff. You're like, the sort of sophisticated gentleman who's just always well organized, who's like well presented, he knows where he's going to. You're like that, like, the mature, handsome kind of man. You're that compared to like the scruffy, slightly untucked shirt version of you that's got like a stain on your shirt. Like, imagine the two versions of you that you can step into. There's one where your clothes are kind of dirty and you're often like, you're 2 minutes late to everything, 5 minutes late to everything. You're constantly feeling like you're in a rush. And then there's the version of you where you're like this mature man and you move with slowness, but you're still on time for everything. You get everything you need done plus more. You have this feeling of like time abundance rather than time scarcity. That's what happens when you start spending the last 10, 20 minutes of the day just planning for tomorrow. I've got something, by the way, which will change your life in just $500. It's linked in the description if you just want to go check that out. Goodbye.